And that's how I like to think about this chart too, is that we can look at the chart like this and we sort of think, okay, so this part that's lit up is the body. This sort of yellowish part is your physical self. The orange part is, let's say, it's your ethereal self. So this is the mind, its relationship to culture and language and all the things that are outside of yourself. So to me, this is the position of the natural arrangement of how these things were made. But that's not the whole story, because this thing's in motion. And when I was an atheist, and going through the depressive epochs of my life, I would start to think I was getting somewhere. I'd be changing things, or I'd be doing something new, or and I'd start to feel better. And by the time I would get over here, in terms of time, it's like from over here, you look back on where you were and you're like, man, I'm getting somewhere. And yeah, look how far I've come. But then, time keeps moving, and eventually, this is what would happen to me every time in terms of the depression. I'd come back to I'd come back to this position of being like, you know what, actually I haven't gone anywhere. I'm exactly where I was, just going around in this loop. And you can see how this would work if this small orange sphere here is your emotions. Your thoughts and your emotions have to go through the void every so often in order to see if all of the needs are being met. And that's kind of how I look at this chart. This outer ring is the earthly realm where there's always something missing. And so this chart, being a conceptual framework, is trying to address and sort of illustrate the active sort of problem-solving mechanisms. This void has to be filled just with your breathing. There's something missing in your blood, and it's oxygen, and you need the oxygen in order to continue this process. So, everything that we do is like this. And if you don't get the thing that you need, you don't survive. And in terms of your mental state, you can think you're making progress, but when you go through this void, I guess conceptually what's supposed to happen here is that there's supposed to be knowledge that's filling this void. And when I say knowledge, it could be just anything that's true or wise from the divine. And that means that it's truly true or wise. It's not just that somebody thinks it's true or thinks it's wise. It is actually, one of those things. And so this void has to be filled with truth or wisdom. Truth might just be like, I'm hungry, I need to eat. And the food is like the true thing that's, your body's sort of incorporating it. You think you're getting somewhere, but you're not. But if you do level up, and that's why I love this idea of the way the crown would pop up here, and I sort of try to illustrate that in a couple of the videos. But when this crown pops up here, you could think of it like, that's the spiral upward. Before, you were just going around in circles. My atheism was like this. It was just the merry-go-round. It's like a tyrannical merry-go-round, because you think you're getting somewhere, but it turns out, nope, you're just going to come right back to where you started. And it was just that, year after year after year. Until suddenly I had this, sort of divine awakening, and I get this download of all this knowledge, and that knowledge just filled that void, man, and I just started to spiral upwards. And my life became fruitful because of it. The crown is the new root, and I think that's a good way to think about it. The crown of the last level is the root of the next level, so that, you've incorporated this knowledge into the root. Now you know this thing. It's like part of who you are. It's part of your being. In the same way that when you learn how to walk, it becomes part of your being. You know how to walk. You know how to spiral upwards instead of just going around in circles. It's part of your being. It's become an integral part of who you are. Yeah, elevating octaves in the same way the sound scale is the same, just one level up. Exactly, bro. Exactly. That's one thing that I really love about Formscapes, is he's really always trying to bring things back to those different harmonics, It's just a beautiful sort of miracle to see that all come together in this way. Just really love it.